Hi everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that I can do this. Most of you have taken your pictures, so you know that I'm doing this. But you might wonder why. And actually, the idea came from Jimmy in Newcastle. He asked me at the Christmas party if I was going to have one of these, and then I thought this was going to be an interesting challenge for me. So I thought, okay, let's do it. So I'm going to structure this as a bit of a story, how I got into photography and what's my journey's been like. So why photography in the first place? When I was little, the cameras used to look something like this. So I was maybe like 5 years old, or like as far as I can remember. And my parents had, my mom had this exact model. And I was actually fascinated by this, you know, the beautiful coating on the lens. Obviously, I didn't understand what it was all about. And the viewfinder, when you look through, that had these two semicircles that were out of line. And then when you twisted the focus ring, they just lined up, and then it was all in focus. But then for like a really long time afterwards, I wasn't really interested in photography. And then so it happened that in 2010, I got a job at Jessop's, where it was obviously all about cameras. And well, I had to sell cameras, and I knew I had to know how they work. And so I was working at the store at the Strand, and there were multiple stores back at the time. One of them not far away was in New Oxford Street. And so we used to sort of hang out together with the other team. And I started dating a girl who was working there, and she had the part-time job as a photo assistant in a photo studio. So I kind of wanted to impress her, and I just got my mum's camera, that very same one. And because at Jessop's, there was like an infinite supply of films. This is an analog camera, obviously. And they would develop my films for free. So I could just, you know, roam free. And then basically I fell in love with the whole thing during the process. And yeah, so this is a quote by one of my favorite photographers, and especially the first sentence, looking at things for the first time is exactly how I feel most of the time when I take pictures for myself. And I think this is a very important sort of approach. These are some of the first, well, not the very first ones, but when it kind of got the hang of it. Pictures shot on film. These pictures were developed in a process called cross-processing, where you shoot pictures on a slide film, but then you use the chemicals that are used for the like negative type of more regular film, and then you get really weird things happening to the colors, and also use like a circular polarizer filter on the lens that just really boosts the colors. The one on the left, that was at the uni where I studied in Harrow. I actually never had a formal education in photography, so I'm a self-taught photographer. So even though I studied fine art, but it didn't have anything to do with photography. And then one of the on the right is a church near Liverpool Street, sort of between Liverpool Street and Brick Lane. It's a pair of my trainers at the time. This is near Bethnal Green. So I just really like these bright colors and, you know, bright blue sky. And there's some pictures I've shot on black and white as well. And so eventually in 2012, I got a job in a footwear fashion company. But first I thought that was so cool. I'm a photographer, but at the same time, I just had to take like this exact same shot of, I don't know how many pairs of shoes a day, exactly from the same angle, then cut them out, put it on a white backdrop, and it was just like really, really boring. And so this isn't from there. This was for a freelance project, but the same kind of idea. At least this was more interesting because the model was doing like a thing. But for me, it's just like you set up the lighting once, you stand there, click, 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 click. And then this is from another freelance project, which the pictures looked more interesting because the background, at least, it changed, and we would walk around. These were taken in Chelsea for like a vintage clothing business. But for me as well, again, the same thing, like the model standing there in the same sort of position. So you know, a lot of people dream about becoming a fashion photographer, and but to me, this kind of stuff was just really, really boring. And that this was actually a fun day, which we did at the footwear company. And we were about to release a little magazine that we were supposed to hand out for free. That would have also included offers, but the boss didn't really see the fantasy in it, so it never materialized. But we had at least one fun day walking around Brick Lane and asking pictures that we liked if we could take their pictures. And then, so this is one of those. And so all the way up to that time, I didn't actually own a camera, so I either use the camera that was at the company camera, or I could borrow one from either a friend or my girlfriend. But then eventually we weren't together anymore, and my friend sold his camera, and so I couldn't really do any jobs anymore. But I was really passionate about photography, so I was walking around and just using my phone and just taking pictures of everything all the time. It might have been quite annoying for, you know, if you were with me as a friend and just, you know, I was being left behind and just taking pictures. So this was, I'm just gonna show a few examples of those. You actually can take pretty nice pictures even with the phone. You don't necessarily need a camera, but obviously when it's you know, like a proper job you need to shoot, then it's helpful to have an actual camera. But up to that point, so this first one was taken at Regent's Canal, and this one's from Copenhagen. That's also from Copenhagen. Actually, sometimes it happens that I really get into the flow, and then I just happen to take lots of pictures on the same day that then I happen to like for a long time coming. And so these are a few examples, and this is from the inside of that same structure. That's my cousin actually, who used to live in Copenhagen at the time. And then so I posted a lot of pictures at the time on Instagram. I don't really use it anymore because they massively changed the algorithm, and it's very difficult to get likes and followers. So it's a bit of a waste of a time now. But I really like this particular filter, which I can't remember the name of. So this is a little selection of those.